All right, welcome back, Be Better Tribe. Excited for this one. This is going to be World Cup Part 2. And I thought it was necessary to invite the one and only Eric Branagan-Franco, a.k.a. El Capitan. And guess what, Franco? For the Be Better Tribe podcast, your episode was actually the most streamed out of every episode that we have so far. So I figured, why not bring the superstar back, right? You're the man, the myth, the legend. And you know what's cool is Franco and I, we played soccer together, obviously. We went to the knockout round down in Levi's, the round of 32, and we most recently watched the final together. So I figured, who better to discuss the World Cup as it wrapped up? And so the first episode, Franco, I talked a lot about the World Cup, what it means to countries, what it means to host the World Cup. I thought it was a really great thing that the United States got to host because for me, I don't know, I'd love your opinion here. The first question is I love this Instagram story that kept going on that I kept seeing was, I'm not sure if the United States deserved to host the World Cup, but gosh, we needed it. And it was really great to see all the different communities. It was great to see all the different cities hosting the World Cup, hosting different countries, and us just welcoming all of that celebration. And so I'd love to get your take. What did you walk away from the World Cup in? What did it mean to you? What do you think in terms of how we did as a host country and all that good stuff?
Before the tournament even began, I was a little bit kind of nervous because of all the stuff that was going on, clearly, like politically and so on. So it was a little bit interesting with how everything would be like received on this side. But I was actually like extremely pleasantly surprised and happy with how well the World Cup went overall. I thought you saw a lot of camaraderie. You got to see a lot of different things from like different countries coming, bringing their culture into different cities and seeing the American cities just like open up their arms and like be so accepting. Like clearly, the Scottish national team, Norway's national team, like there's just like so much like football, or I should say soccer in the U.S. really truly won out of this whole experience. And I feel like it really connected a lot more people that probably don't watch the game.
Totally.
Started to really get more involved to it and really excited about it. And, clearly you had all these different interactions with the different games and how VAR and all that kind of stuff. And it was just great because it created a lot more like talking points versus what we would have maybe seen if the World Cup would have been somewhere else.
Yeah, and what's crazy is like the World Cup, in my opinion, bringing those countries, I do think it's going to, I think people are going to want to visit the United States more and be like, wow, it is actually a great country. It's very safe. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of places that you can visit all over the United States. And I actually think that United States citizens are going to want to go travel and want to go potentially experience the EPL or the different leagues around the world and see what football is like in other countries. Would you agree? Or
100%. I mean, I already like to travel. You like to travel.
Yeah.
We've both traveled for soccer. We've left the country for it and stuff like that. But for me, it's even made it more exciting. I'm really excited for the World Cup in 2030 when it's now like in 6 different countries. I believe now it's Argentina, Uruguay, and I believe maybe even Bolivia. Plus, also you have Morocco, Spain, and Portugal, which are the main places. And I've been to Portugal and Spain, but I'm really excited about going to Morocco to maybe try to catch a game or something.
Is that the big trip you're heading out to in 4 years?
I think so. I mean, I think it's for soccer wise. Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest trip for me, just because you saw how well Morocco played in this tournament and
that's
how
true.
much they grew as a team. And I think there's always been a little bit of, after the African Cup of Nations and Senegal winning it, and then the trophy being pulled away, and then Morocco having it or being considered champions, there was a lot of thought process. Were they truly champions? And you saw them play. I mean, they played exceptional football all the way through. So I'm excited about it. I think it's made me want to go also visit Norway because
totally
it was so exciting, right? I'm ready to go do a little Viking row here, get that going. But it was a lot of fun. I think it will like really push people to want to go overseas to maybe experience the football culture over in Europe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, as you and I both know, like I played soccer. We played soccer in college, but I've never really tied into soccer culture in terms of like watching it every Sunday, watching the EPL league. But I always do get tied into the World Cup because I do think it's like it's bigger than just football. But also, I think it does have me intrigued in watching a little bit more throughout the next couple years so that I can stay in tuned. But two things for you. One is we went to the game. I thought that was one of the best experiences that I've had watching a game, and I have seen EPL games. I have seen our good friend Anton play on the reserves at Everton. We've both been to stadiums in Spain together. Um, but I thought one of the coolest things was at the Levi Stadium seeing Bosnia Herzegovina cheering and singing their songs. Like they were so passionate and they were so excited about the game and representing their country that I have never seen anything like that. So I'd love your take. What was a walk away from that game that we saw, the passion, the experience, and the knockout round in 32 for the U.S. Bosnia Herzegovina?
Well, I totally agree. I think one of the coolest moments was when we ended up meeting up with one of our friends down below the stadium,
Yeah,
and some fan from Bosnia starts yelling something, and then all of a sudden the rest of the tunnel starts just chanting the song, and you're just like, where in the hell did that come from? And I think for it was very much U.S. Dominant,
yeah,
but they knew how to choose the right spots to make themselves like extremely heard. And I thought it was really cool to kind of see that culture and see them all connected and really like supportive of their team out there, And I think that was kind of interesting for us too when we went to go grab a bite to eat before the game.
yeah,
We were walking into like literally the pre-party for Bosnia, and we had no clue what we were walking into. It was
yeah.
it was awesome to see that, but also what it was great to see was just the camaraderie. There wasn't any like talking back and forth, no
No,
trash back and forth one another between USA or Bosnia. So I thought that was really cool. I think you saw a lot of that in the World Cup in general, and so I think there was just this mutual respect in football. So like which was awesome to watch.
yeah. It was each fan base was allowed to like cheer and support their country with like no worries, in my opinion, of like different fans taking offense to that, because I think it was more of like you're representing your country, and that is cool, and that's a great thing to do. Flipping gears here, in sports, VAR, in sports of just like as a former player, that is one thing that I think they might have taken too far in this World Cup. And I actually am going to ask a question. We don't need to go down this rabbit hole, but like technology in general, of like AI technology trying to like fit its way into places where it doesn't need to. I want to caveat though, they probably got a lot of the calls right though. There would have been a lot of calls missed. So, in your opinion, in terms of the beauty of the game, in terms of stopping flow, all of that type of stuff, VAR, what's your take on it?
Whew. I mean, as you know, when we had our little group chat, like I went on a rant at one moment in one specific game. But overall, I thought VAR, when it came to offsides and stuff, I liked how quick and fast it
Sure.
was, and it was pretty much dead on and correct most of the time. Um, I did feel like VAR was just a little inconsistent, like with what they reviewed and what they didn't review, and a lot of the stats kind of showed that later on. Like
Yeah, that
certain
the a lot
teams
of the
for sure got a benefit
big
out of it.
countries got benefits.
Yeah, and some of the smaller ones probably didn't. That probably could have used that benefit to help them be a little bit more successful. But overall, I think we're always going to have some issues when it comes to VAR. I thought one of the things that was a key to me was how quickly they were on with the offside. So using that later on in the future to do that was great. The ball technology was cool to see that when the ball had crossed and they were
Except
quick
when
to
it
like
hits the
say,
top,
"Oh,
except when it hits it hits
it's
the wire.
it's the wire," and of course that doesn't get seen, so that's a little tricky situation. Um, you know, uh, there are going to be some things that are going to be that aren't going to go right, and so
Yeah,
clearly that was one of those moments in that England game that was just, I mean,
It was
We
weird.
had so many games that that's the one game that happens. It's just wild that it occurs in that game. But yeah, overall, like, I had a couple games where I was just like, oh, VAR's killing this whole
Yeah.
situation, making the game worse. But I think we need to maybe look at how much we're using it to benefit countries that probably don't really need the benefit on the long run.
And not just that, I think it comes down to me of like when a human has to make a judgment call, VAR. I don't know why you would have VAR because like you could manipulate VAR to go slower, faster, and kind of steer the narrative, right? Like
Right.
versus like a run of play called by an official is the run of play called by official. You live by it, right? It's
Right.
almost like part of sports. It doesn't go your way; it goes your way. Like I think that makes it a little bit more digestible, I guess. Offsides, easy. VAR, great. Every time, make the call. If the ball is in the net or not in the net, if it's over out of bounds or not out
The
of
goal
bounds,
line. Yeah.
great, great. Or if you missed a flagrant punch, a spit, something like that, where it's like very, it's not in the run of play, I should say.
Right.
That's
It's on
I
the
guess that's
outside of
where I
stuff.
walk
Yeah.
away with, and like because like I don't know, man. You and I've played sports for a long time. You're a coach now for player. You're going to go to Japan to coach players, and like I think part of the game is that mental fortitude when you're dealing with calls. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's part of the adversity, part of the part of like what you need to do, but there's also advantages to it as well, right? And you can use it to your advantage if you know a ref is being a little bit more lenient versus
Yeah,
someone that's a little bit
yeah.
tighter. You can use that towards how you play your position and how you put yourself in the certain spots, and I think that's kind of part of the game. I think the part that we've lost a little bit has been a little bit with the diving and stuff like that. So as much as I hated that call that was done in the Switzerland game, it was the correct call. The Switzerland versus
Oh, where
Argentina
he
game. The
dove.
guy kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
dove at the end.
But he
It
also
was
was like diving away from a tackle that he potentially was going to get in.
right. So you can take it in two different ways and directions because
Yeah,
you had seen other dives before in the tournament that didn't get called at all or never got reviewed on VAR. So again, that's just kind of the interesting thing of like when they decided to actually allow VAR to be interpreted or
yeah,
used
yeah.
in certain moments that were very beneficial for certain teams and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and to go to that, it's like one of the reasons why I enjoy doing this podcast and I had conversations with you is I always like to reflect back on like underdog stories or lessons or things that inspire me. And so some of the teams that found results, some of the stories that we've heard at the World Cup, what anything top of mind for you that hit home that you're like, damn, I'm gonna remember that for a long time, and they're gonna come out with the Netflix thing, or that was just inspirational. Anything top of mind?
I mean, Vizinha over at Capo Verde is for sure like one of the top ones for me. Just the fact that you know, he was playing second division in Portugal. Pretty much his contract was terminated before he was going into the World Cup, and now like he has all these maybe opportunities to continue his career. Um, I'm now interested in going to Cape Verde. I mean, that just
I
sounds amazing. I was like, I
crazy.
didn't even know about this country. Now it is just like we got to go check this place out. Um, I actually thought the goalkeeper Gil from Paraguay was a cool story to hear about him and his son and stuff like that, and the things he was going through mentally, but also be a part of it. But there was also these like different stories where there was multiple players that had kids while the tournament was going on, right? That like their first newborn was born. Some flew back, others were doing it off FaceTime. It was just crazy to think that life is still going on even when these guys are competing for their country. And it was just a unique component to see all those stories kind of pop up during and throughout the tournament.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy to say and see like the story's never done until it's done, right? It's like these players who are playing in second tier divisions all over the world are getting called to play in the world's highest stage and are actually get some of them are getting results, which is like the beauty of sports. And it's the beauty of like putting yourself out there and like just playing with no fear, right? It's just like trying your best to get a result and sometimes it falls your way and that's a beautiful story, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. One of the things that I do love is it does connect different countries. It connects different people, and luckily for us, that wasn't planned. We were able to connect a friend group that hasn't seen each other in years. You know, our friend from Europe came in town. We were able to see friends from across, across different county lines, and we all got to bring our families together. And so, with the World Cup, it's a great reminder to celebrate and to bring people together and to watch something special. And so as we think about the World Cup and as we think about walking away, any key things that you're going to try to take forward in the next, couple months, 6 months, years, for your daughters, for your friend group, for anything of that nature?
I think I'm going to try to continue to take that joy of the game that we got to see a lot of and try
Yeah,
to like really allow my daughter to be a part of that more and try to get her more invested in that aspect. I think I was growing up in such a like competitive mindset at such a young age. I think for her to truly enjoy the game a little bit more is that having that more that mindset of like just having fun, being a kid and just enjoying the moment from start to finish.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it's, the World Cup creates these underdog stories. It creates unity across the country. It creates a bit of buzz within the host nations. It allows your country to see the bigger picture, that we're not alone in this. There's multiple different countries, cultures, religions, ethnicities, and there's peace. There's happiness. There's a glimpse of time. How long is the World Cup? 45 days or
Yeah, about just like a month and
a
a
month and
half.
a
Yeah,
half? Yeah, a month and
yeah,
a half, maybe 2 months. It's just like for those 2 months, like a lot of the time is spent just celebrating and being together. And so, like, I don't know. I just think that the more that we can have that part of our lives, the better we'll all be. You know?
100%. I mean, one of the cool things about this World Cup was, of course, we went to the knockout game for the USA, but I got to see your friend that I didn't even remember or slash play against him for such a long
Oh,
time
Ryan,
from
yeah,
UC
yeah, on my
Davis,
phone.
Ryan. So he's over there who's a rival, and just like how much we were able to like kind of hang out and
True.
like
Yeah,
how the rivalry just kind of dissipated.
totally.
We saw an old friend that we hadn't seen in forever, or I hadn't seen in a long time, Eric Schmidt, who
Eric,
you
yep,
had on the podcast. So it
yep.
just brought in a lot of different things. And of course, just recently this past weekend, having our friend from Denmark, Anton, coming to visit, and Anthony, and just kind of going over things and just having and just watching our kids so much involved into the game
That
and how much they were so focused on. I thought that was an amazing piece to be able to sit back and just watch the new generation coming into the spot and being like, okay, this is who's taking up the game for us.
Yeah, it's hopefully like, you think about those, like you think about the movie Inside Out and core
Yeah,
memories and things like that, and it's like we're at the time in our lives where we're create trying to create those core memories for our kids. And I can remember, I know you're rocking that sweet sweater right there, the '94 World Cup. My dad
that's
took
right.
me, yeah, my dad took me when I was 8 years old, and we went to, I think it was like Cameroon, Sweden, and
Hmm.
I still remember that in Stanford, and I was 8 years old. And so, although my oldest is a little bit younger than that, I'm hoping that these pictures that we took of the group and the energy that they felt watching Messi, that's going to be their goat soccer player forever, which
Yeah.
he could be go down as the goat ever. They watched him play, and they'll remember that World Cup final, even though they lost. They saw him, get to that final in his probably his last World Cup.
100%. No, for sure. I mean, like the first World Cup for me was in '94.
Yep.
The that I went with my father as well. Going to Stanford, I was fortunate enough 4 years later to go to one in France and got to go see like Italy versus Cameroon. It's funny that you saw
Oh, nice.
so I've seen multiple Mexico games. I got to see Mexico versus South Korea. I mean, I still
Oh,
have like great memories over there. Was watching Mexico versus South Korea in France. I remember there was like a famous
what year was
person
that? What year was that?
that was in '98.
You went to France in '98.
For the World Cup. And I just remember sitting in the stadium. A famous person from FIFA had just recently passed away, so they asked for a moment of silence, right? And some guy from the Mexico fan base just yells out this like huge grito, just
Yeah,
starts screaming, and this lady from the stands like blah 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 starts reprimanding him, and he just shuts up so quick. It
yeah,
was hilarious. Stadium like after the moment of silence died, everybody just started laughing in our section. It was just, you just can see that there's just such a different energy and love for the game during this time frame. And um, it was exciting for me to just see my kid enjoying it and your kids
Yeah.
enjoying it and
Yep.
our friends' kids enjoying it. And for me, like, I remember my wife calling me on the phone, like, that my daughter was like just pissed that she couldn't see me in the
Yeah. I
TV
remember that.
because
Yeah.
she knew I was at the game. And I just
Yeah.
was laughing about it, that I just had to bring a bunch of little different toys back for her to
Yeah.
kind of enjoy.
Yeah, man, that was a fun experience, and I'm hoping we can do that in the next 4 years. Maybe we'll hit up Morocco together. Or we'll get out there as a fun crew. But as we're wrapping up here, I don't know, Franco. I'll give you the last words. But what I'm taking away is, again, United States being in somewhat of a turbulent time. It's been, obviously not easy for everyone, and there's a lot of different division within our country. I thought it was beautiful to see the World Cup come in and give us sense of like unity, breath. Like, it was cool to see all the positivity. It was cool to see other cultures. It was amazing to have that celebration for that month and a half to 2 months. I thought that was awesome. The underdog stories, the upsets, the passion, the fan bases, and then experiencing a knockout round, which is the first time for me. Seeing USA actually win in the round of 32 was amazing, and it since I got my USA scarf here that we got together at that game, and it gives you a sense of pride and hope for the country, and it's fun to cheer on your country. I think it's different than cheering on a club, which is cool. And I'm excited for the next World Cup, and I appreciate you jumping on the podcast here, and appreciate you discussing the World Cup as it wrapped up. So, any last thoughts from you, and as we close out this episode?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. You think about soccer, it's just a game, but in reality, it brought so much like unity in this world and so much excitement with like all the different types of ethnicities and races and countries that I'm excited for the future, but I'm also excited for US soccer, like you had mentioned. I think
Totally.
there's a lot of hope and a lot of positivity in the next coming years. And I feel like as long as we can keep up, the focus and the drive and the passion that we've produced from this World Cup to help our youth, I think we can be strong next in the next World Cup.
Yeah, because you and I will be there, my man.
That's right.
Put it on the calendar. All right, Franco. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it, and let's go USA. 4 years, baby.
Exactly. Let's go.
Game on.
Cheers, bro.